The plot to poison human rights activist Dele Farotimi for revealing the Nigerian government corruption and atrocities to the world has been exposed. According to our reliable source, there are concerns regarding the safety of Nigerian activist Dele Farotimi, suggesting alleged plans to harm him through poisoning or improper injection. This emphasizes the importance of public vigilance and resistance to such threats, particularly from supporters and organizations associated with him. All eyes must be on the Nigerian federal government and its associates, and if anything happened to Dele Farotimi, they must be held accountable. They is lack of justice in Nigeria. They is total failure of Nigerian government in all system of the federation, and they is need for citizens to speak out against oppression and intimidation. They must be a collective action to prevent harm to individuals advocating for justice and reforms in the country. Dele Farotimi's story is one of courage, conviction, and an unwavering belief in the power of truth. He is a man who speaks out, no matter the cost, and his voice has carried the weight of countless Nigerians who feel they've been silenced by a system that thrives on injustice. But now his life is in danger, and the entire country and even the world is watching. Let me take you through this story piece by piece, because it's not just about Dele. It's about the fight for justice, the dangers of speaking out, and the hope that someday things might change. Dele Farotimi is a lawyer by profession, but his impact goes far beyond the courtroom. Over the years, he has become one of Nigeria's most vocal human rights activists. His name is synonymous with advocacy, and he has built a reputation for fearlessly calling out the Nigerian government's failures. Whether it's corruption, the abuse of power, or the lack of justice in the country, Dele has never been afraid to speak his mind. And that fearlessness has earned him both admiration and enemies. For many Nigerians, Dele represents something rare and powerful, a beacon of truth in a country where truth is often suppressed. He has used his platform to expose the realities of life in Nigeria, highlighting the struggles of ordinary people and the systemic failures that have kept the country from reaching its potential. He speaks out against the oppression of the poor, the misuse of public funds, and the widespread corruption that has infected nearly every aspect of governance. But with that courage comes great risk. Recently, whispers began circulating about a plot to silence Dele Farotimi for good. The rumors were chilling. There were plans to poison him or harm him through a medical injection. These weren't just baseless speculations. They were coming from people who understood how things worked in Nigeria. The idea that such a plot could exist wasn't far-fetched. After all, Nigeria has a long history of targeting those who speak out against the government. Activists, journalists, and critics have faced harassment, imprisonment, and even death. The threats against Dele fit into a larger pattern of silencing dissent. The news spread like wildfire. Social media platforms were flooded with posts from Nigerians expressing outrage and concern. People warned that if anything happened to Dele, the government would be held accountable. Some were angry, others were scared, but the message was clear. Dele Farotimi must not be harmed. This wasn't just about one man's safety, it was about protecting the very idea of freedom of speech and activism in Nigeria. One particular post caught my attention. It came from a well-known commentator who said, "We don't want to hear any story about a sudden illness or heart attack. If anything happens to Dele, we know who to blame." His words resonated with so many people because they reflected a shared fear. Nigerians have seen this play out before. Too many outspoken figures have fallen mysteriously ill or died under suspicious circumstances, only for their cases to be swept under the rug. The people were saying, "Not this time." Dele's activism has always been dangerous work. His criticism of the government has made him a target, but he has never wavered. He has continued to speak out, knowing full well the risks involved. And those risks are not small. The Nigerian government has a reputation for dealing harshly with its critics. Arrests, detentions, and even assassinations are not uncommon. For Dele, the fight for justice comes with the constant threat of retaliation. But Dele is not alone in this fight. The outpouring of support he has received from Nigerians and international organizations has been overwhelming. People from all walks of life have come together to demand his safety. They understand that this is not just about Dele, it's about what he represents. If someone like him can be silenced, what hope is there for others who want to speak out? The stakes are high and the fight is far from over. Dele himself has remained steadfast. In a recent interview, he spoke about the importance of standing up for what is right, even in the face of danger. If you're afraid to speak because they might come after you, then you've already lost, he said. The only way to win is to keep speaking, no matter what. His words are a testament to his resilience, but they also reveal the heavy burden he carries. It takes incredible strength to stand up to power, knowing that it could cost you everything. The alleged plot to harm Dele has raised serious questions about the state of Nigeria's democracy. How can a country claim to be a democracy when it cannot protect its citizens' right to free speech? How can justice thrive in a system that targets those who demand it? These are questions that many Nigerians are asking, and they deserve answers. The lack of response from the Nigerian government has only added fuel to the fire. There has been no official statement addressing the allegations, no reassurance that Dele's safety will be guaranteed. This silence speaks volumes. It suggests either a lack of concern or worse, complicity. The people are left to wonder, if the government has nothing to hide, why isn't it taking action to protect Dele? For many, this situation is a reflection of the larger issues facing Nigeria. The country is grappling with widespread corruption, economic instability, and a lack of accountability. The justice system is broken, and trust in public institutions is at an all-time low. In this environment, activists like Dele Farotimi play a crucial role. They shine a light on the problems that others would rather ignore. They hold power to account and give voice to the voiceless, but their work comes at a great cost. Dele's supporters are not giving up. They have organized protests, launched campaigns, and used every platform available to them to demand his safety. They know that this fight is bigger than one man. It's about defending the right to speak out, to demand better, to dream of a better Nigeria. And they are determined to see it through. As I reflect on this story, I can't help but think about the courage it takes to stand up for what is right. Dele Farotimi's journey is a reminder that the fight for justice is never easy. It is a battle that requires sacrifice, resilience, and an unshakable belief in the power of truth. But it is also a battle that can inspire others to join the cause, to speak out, and to demand a better future. This is not the end of Dele Farotimi's story. It is just one chapter in a much larger narrative, a narrative about a nation struggling to find its way, about a people yearning for justice, and about the power of one voice to spark change. As the story unfolds, one thing is clear: the fight for justice is far from over. But with people like Dele leading the charge, there is hope that someday Nigeria will become the nation it is meant to be. The story of Dele Farotimi doesn't end with just his personal struggles. His story is intertwined with the broader tale of Nigeria, a nation of immense potential but burdened by decades of corruption, inefficiency, and a troubling culture of impunity. To understand why Dele's fight resonates so deeply with so many Nigerians, we must look beyond the immediate threats to his life and explore the root causes of these struggles. Nigeria, often referred to as the Giant of Africa, is a nation blessed with abundant natural resources, a rich cultural heritage, and a population brimming with talent and resilience. Yet for many of its citizens, daily life is a constant battle against poverty, insecurity, and systemic oppression. The disparity between Nigeria's potential and its reality is staggering, and it is this gap that activists like Dele Farotimi seek to address. Dele's activism stems from a deep sense of injustice. As a lawyer, he has seen firsthand how the judicial system often serves the interests of the powerful rather than delivering justice to the people. He has witnessed cases where the guilty walk free because of their connections, while the innocent languish in prison due to their inability to afford proper legal representation. This is the Nigeria that Dele Farotimi has dedicated his life to changing. A Nigeria where justice is not just a privilege for the wealthy, but a right for all. But the fight for justice is not an easy one. The system is deeply entrenched, and those who benefit from the status quo are willing to go to great lengths to protect their interests. For Dele, this means that his life is constantly at risk. The alleged plot to poison or harm him is just one example of the lengths to which some are willing to go to silence him. But Dele has refused to back down. He knows that his work is too important to stop, no matter the cost. The threats against Dele have sparked a wave of outrage, both within Nigeria and beyond its borders. People from all walks of life have come forward to condemn the plot and demand accountability. Activists, journalists, and even ordinary citizens have used social media to amplify their voices, calling on the government to protect Dele and ensure his safety. The message is clear. If anything happens to Dele Farotimi, the Nigerian government will have to answer for it. This outpouring of support is a testament to the impact that Dele has had on so many lives. His work has inspired countless Nigerians to speak out against injustice and demand change. For many, he represents hope, the hope that one day Nigeria can become a nation where justice and fairness prevail. But that hope is fragile, and it requires constant vigilance to keep it alive. One of the most powerful aspects of Dele's activism is his ability to connect with people on a personal level. He speaks not just as a lawyer or an activist, but as a fellow Nigerian who understands the struggles that ordinary people face. Whether he's addressing issues like police brutality, government corruption, or the lack of basic infrastructure, Dele's words resonate because they come from a place of genuine concern. He speaks the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and he challenges others to do the same. But speaking the truth in a country like Nigeria is not without its risks. Over the years, many activists, journalists, and critics have faced persecution for daring to speak out. Some have been arrested and detained without trial. Others have been harassed, threatened, or even killed. The culture of impunity that allows these acts to go unpunished is one of the biggest challenges facing Nigeria today. It sends a chilling message to anyone who dares to challenge the system. Speak out, and you will pay the price. Dele Farotimi is well aware of these risks, but he refuses to be silenced. For him, the fight for justice is not just a professional obligation, it is a personal mission. He believes that silence in the face of injustice is complicity, and he has made it his life's work to ensure that the voices of the oppressed are heard. This commitment to truth and justice is what makes Dele such a powerful force, but it is also what makes him a target. The alleged plot to harm Dele has also highlighted the importance of solidarity in the fight for justice. Activism is not a solitary endeavor. It requires the support and collaboration of others who share the same vision. The outpouring of support for Dele is a reminder that no one can fight these battles alone. It takes a collective effort to bring about meaningful change, and the fight for Dele's safety is a fight for the safety of all who dare to speak out. This solidarity is particularly important in a country like Nigeria, where the challenges are so vast and the stakes are so high. From the ongoing issues of corruption and insecurity to the systemic failures in education, healthcare, and infrastructure, there is no shortage of battles to be fought. But these battles cannot be won in isolation. They require the collective effort of a united people who are willing to stand up for what is right, even in the face of adversity.
I owe Mr. Oko a big thank you very much for the invitation, and Nadeco US for the effort. Thanks to those who are in attendance. I was given the privilege of speaking to something that has been on my mind for some time, but I believe it is very important for the location of this discussion today. and I picked Nigeria, its democracy, and the subjectification of truth. Nigeria does not, I'm known for my definitions. I love defining. If I'm going to talk to a subject, I want to define it first. And there are three key components to what I have chosen. Nigeria, democracy, and then the subjectification of truth. Nigeria does not require any definition anymore. It's a blessed land, ruined by horrible ruiners who pretend to be rulers. It would be bad enough if what we have in Nigeria are rulers. That would be bad enough. Rulers exist in time. They focus on preservation of power, and they are rarely burdened or bridled by vision. They are content with surviving in power. That is what rulers do. Leaders, on the other hand, are bridled by vision. So they see beyond their lifetime, and they are constrained by their vision in the choices that they would make. Unfortunately for my country, as blessed as it is, it has been cursed by ruiners. Never been blessed with leadership. That is Nigeria properly defined. It's democracy, and that will lead me to the third part of what I want to talk about, the subjectification of truth. How do you subjectify truth? That is when you take a common precept, something that has universal application and meaning, and you bring it into a space, and it begins to have a different meaning because of the space of its application. That is the situation with Nigerian democracy, because you actually have to Nigerianize what we have before you might call it a democracy. Democracies are impossible to have in environments where the law does not rule. Citizenship is impossible to uphold in environments devoid of the rule of law. Nigeria is one such environment. In the absence of the rule of law, Nigeria is ruled by impunity. And that is why you would have situations where INEC would publish guidelines flowing from the Constitution, and it will proceed to do the exact opposite of what it had promised to do. But that is for the Nigerian audience. Because of the context of location, we must now talk to the subjectification of truth. Atlanta was my point of entry into the US on this particular trip. And as I was being driven to where I would be staying, I drove past the place, and it was pointed out to me that that was MC Mushroom Pickens' house in Riverdale, Atlanta.
Oh wow!
A man could stand in broad daylight,
Very close to my house.
cameras on him, and he could tell the world, Yachukwudi must not vote. He spoke as the state. The Nigerian state is criminal. MC Mushroom Pickens is not a government official, but there was a policeman stood not too far away from him when he made his edit. And that edit stood, and we saw it in its full ramification on the 18th of March. But how does this relate to the context of our location, the location of this discourse? Our American friends will tell us we have a democracy, and that is why Nigeria must be protected and everything must be kept quiet. We must have peace. They speak peace to us, but they never talk to us about justice. Those who rule Nigeria bring their wealth to this land, and you give them succor. They carry your green cards, they carry your passports, they buy your citizenship, they buy homes in this place. You convict them here, you release them to Nigeria. If they were drug dealers, members of the Mahane drug cartel, you'd be busy talking about all kinds of sanctions on them. You wouldn't allow them in your country.
Yeah.
But you have them living here. Their children are here. They ruin my country. I can't live in yours.
Yeah.
I visit. And when I stay longer than 3 weeks, I'm already having withdrawal symptoms. All I want to do is go back to mine. But you make my country impossible to live in because of your subjectification of the truth. You sit down on a day-to-day basis and you preach down at us and you tell us about just how much democracy works for Africa. But you do everything to undermine our democracy because you give succor to criminals in your cities. I can't open a bank account in America because I'm a Nigerian. But the crooks ruining my country put their monies in your accounts. I can't open an account. The only crime is that I'm a Nigerian. A drug-indicted criminal is about to become the president of my country, and you, Americans, are the ones normalizing the insanity. When I speak to the subjectification of truth, it sounds sometimes like, actually, it's another word for hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of the Western world, particularly you continue to preach democracy, accountability, rule of law, and the rest to us. Your hypocrisy stinks. I'll show you. A couple of years ago, 3 years now actually, there was a massacre in Lagos State, at the Lekki toll gate to be specific. The West has its highs all over our country. You got your highs in the sky, you're everywhere. We know. You saw what happened. What did the West ever say? I'll tell you. There was a debate in the British Parliament. A certain gentleman, I believe his name is Hart. And he spoke glowingly about how when Gowon relocated to the UK, he went to the UK with half of Nigeria's treasury. Well, I'll tell you something. In my tradition, we have a proverb. The thief does not do as much harm as the receiver of the stolen goods. The West has been the net receiver of our stolen commonwealth. You have helped to normalize the madness that has overtaken my country. Without you, we will not be in the mess we are in.
That's right.
When Gowon took the wealth of Nigeria, where did he take it to? Took it to Britain, brought some of it to America, and it is the same. Gowon is merely a tag. Every last two-bit criminal who has occupied public office in my country has one form of entry into this country or others like it behind the veneer of Christian correctness. You sit there and you legitimize evil in my own country. I'll tell you another one. A British general was recalled from retirement, and I believe he was sent to jail in addition to being recalled from retirement and dismissed from the army. What was his offense? He claimed about £50,000 more than he was entitled to in child education benefit. That was what this general did. How many Nigerian generals, civil servants, public officers have brought their monies into your coffers? So please, friends owe their friends the truth. If you guys are truly our friends, talking about Americans, if you are truly our friends, don't preach at us. Don't tell us about all the wonderful things you could do in collaboration with us. And I say this, madam, because you are about the only one who's cared enough about us to even give us your ear. The fact is, I'm not talking to you as a person. I'm speaking to America as a country, its people, and the institutions that govern this country. The truth of the matter is that you have all these, your wonderful Magnitsky Acts and all of that. Use it to go after the criminals ruining our country. I'm not coming to your country on exile. We don't want your exile. Friends tell friends the truth. Tell us the truth and talk about the criminals ruining our country. Thank you very much. Stop subjectifying.
Many of us from the north are famed for cattle keeping. And when you are driving the cattle through different grazing grounds, the cattle believe that you love them so much because you protect them from the elements, because you protect them from other wild animals. But if the cattle were to know that you are the one who would end up eating them, they would treat you very differently. Invariably, they do not know. And therefore, you will continue controlling them the way you do, and you will continue eating them the way you do. But it's a totally different case when you are leading human beings. They are not like cattle. You may lead them in a particular direction. You may think that you have lulled them into a false sense of security. You may think that you have deadened their minds. But always remember that one day, if you don't do that which is good and right for your fellow men, there is a day of reckoning. There is a day of reckoning, and history has demonstrated that it can come in the twinkling of an eye. History has demonstrated that kings have been toppled. History has demonstrated that presidents have been removed. History has demonstrated that great men have been cut down. History has demonstrated that men can rise when they are misled. History has demonstrated that men are indeed capable of rising up. You know, I always read these words of the American Declaration of Independence because I love them. They apply to humanity. Before America became what it is, they had enlightened men. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are born equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable right, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it is for this reason that governments are instituted amongst men, and that when those governments fail to perform, it is the duty of those people to rise up and to remove such governments.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.